Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Poorboys Place. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Feel free to drop in anytime you feel, my friends. Guys, this morning I'm out here giving my chickens their treats right off the bat. And if you got any old deer feeders, or you got neighbors that's got deer feeders and they gonna throw them away because their tripod's broke, they make awesome storage for your feed, for your chicken feed, your rabbit feed, whatever. The only thing I will advise is to put you some kind of aluminum top on it, because the pet squirrels around here chewed a hole in the top and was getting in there, and plus that lets rain in there, so I had to put me aluminum sheeting over the top to keep the squirrels out. Now for my chickens every morning, and usually in the evening, they get some of these GRUB TERRA black soldier fly larvae. They literally love this stuff. Now I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in getting some of this, and I think I got a little discount code maybe. And then I give them just a little bit of what I call just chicken feed. It's got chopped corn, different grains in it, oats, wheat, sunflower seeds, but I just give them a little bit. Other than that, all they get to eat is their laying pellets. Now the laying pellets is in there in the feeder, so they eat the laying pellets all they want. So, since the chicken feeding's out of the way, what's today's video? Well, guys, it's about to turn off with some more freezing nights, so I thought I'd give another little quick update on the garden situation out here, because I'm gonna have to cut my little cabbages. What I haven't cut already, they still ain't fully matured to 6 inches, but I don't want them to learn. It's gonna be several nights of freezing, and I'm gonna go on and harvest them, and we'll take a look and see what all is going on in the garden. Now, as you can see behind me, my cover crop, which is winter peas and clover, finally started taking over my little garden spot. It took it forever, but our temperatures has been, again, I know I sound like a broken record, from the October the 19th, had them hard freeze, and then we had a week in November of several nights of freeze, and then the weather goes back up in the upper 80s. That stuff took forever to start growing, which I guess everything I've planted this fall has done that. But you can see it finally took over. Now, some of you may say, well, why don't you graze your chickens out here on it? And I thought about doing that, but guys, as I clean out my quail brooders and my poop box under my quail pen, I just scattered that out on there. And plus, I'm wanting to leave that cover crop to get good and thick so I can till it into the soil. So let's go over here and look at the cauliflower and the broccoli and the cabbage and see how they coming along. Now guys, these two beds, this one right here is the broccoli, and that there's the cauliflower. And you remember, I done give up on this stuff twice. As it froze, the leaves died. I just cut all the leaves at one time. It just pretty much looked like nothing but a stem under there. But I'm gonna have to hold the camera under here, because I'll fold this back the best I can to give y'all a look at how this stuff finally started growing. And I got some little heads of broccoli and some little heads of cauliflower now. But they ain't big enough to cut yet. And we finna get another week of some extremely cold nights down in there at 27, 28 degrees. But ain't that amazing? It took that forever to grow. But when it finally started growing, it really went to work growing. I'm gonna show y'all the little heads up close. this turned into some beautiful broccoli. I have just dealt and fought with the weather, swapping back and forth. But you can see it's got some little broccoli heads. That in there ain't about big around as a, well, it's bigger than a quarter. And that in there, it's a good 3 fingers wide. You can see they all got little heads on them. That one right over on the side's got the biggest head. It's actually about that big around. So guys, ain't that turned out to be some pretty broccoli? And here I go finna get these freezing coming again, so I don't know what's gonna happen. This weather has been giving me fits this fall. I'll tie this frost cover back down. So up next, guys, we're gonna be looking at the cauliflower, which is the amazing cauliflower. As you can see, it ain't near about as big as the broccoli, but the cauliflower during that November freezes, I mean, literally this over here, it didn't hardly have a leaf on it when I got through cutting on it. I mean, it was totally cut down to nothing, and I cannot believe it's come back and actually making some cauliflower heads. So let me get y'all over here and show y'all. But that in there is so little you can't really see it, but here's a pretty good one. I got 2 or 3 ones making pretty good heads. But if the weather would just give me more time before it gets to hard freezing, which we right here at Christmas, so it shouldn't be, but you can see I got a couple of good heads like that right there, which is getting there about 4 fingers wide. And I could take that right now and eat it. Some say, well, that ain't big enough. Well, it's better to eat it before the freeze kills it than waiting on it to get bigger. And actually that right there is just enough to me to eat with my supper, because I used to eat it like raw. And I can't get over there, but them over there's got a couple of heads on them, and then I got some in the little that's just now starting to make little bitty heads. But man, I'm just so happy and surprised it came out. Finally made something. So guys, I did learn something this year on my gardening. And I learned it because normally what happened here, I would have chopped that into the bed and been done with it, let it go on and be composting down for my soil for next spring. But for some reason I said I'm gonna just trim all that mess back after the freeze, and I'm gonna just let it go. Then it come to November, I done the same thing, which I had it better covered with frost cover, so I didn't have to trim it down as much as I did in October. So I did learn that this stuff, you can trim it back to nothing pretty much but the stem, and it'll come back if the weather warms back up like it has here in Northeast Louisiana. So, if you think you got time, and the willingness and the patience, don't just give up on your garden like I was doing. So my YouTube friends, this is something that you can learn from Papa, that if you ever go through that, just trim that mess back. I mean, what you got to lose? Trim all the limbs off and let it go and see what happens. Because as you can see, according to what these next week gonna do, if it don't get too cold for too long during the nights, I'm gonna end up with some broccoli and cauliflower around Christmas time, or first of the year. So next up is the Catarina cabbage. Now guys, if you don't know what Catarina cabbage is, it's supposed to be 55 to 60 day maturity on the cabbage. They only make like little 6-inch heads, but man, they some good tasting cabbage. This is, once I come across this variety, this is all I've raised. Now we done eat, I done got 4 heads out of here. One time I got 3 and cooked it as just boiled cabbage, and then one night I got me a little head. I was home alone and just cut it up and eat raw cabbage. Kind of made me like a cabbage slaw, so to speak, with nothing on it but just cabbage. So now I got what here, 6 heads left. And you can see they ain't but about 4 inches in diameter. But that's enough for me and my wife for 2 meals of just cooked with cabbage as a side. So tonight, well, for this video purposes, tomorrow night's when the temperature is supposed to drop down like 28 degrees. So I'm gonna wait till that day after tomorrow, and I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna cut these. And you can see the frost cover's blown off. We had tremendously storms last night. I'm kind of surprised it ain't no trees or nothing down this morning. We got about 3.5 inches of rain. It was just a hard rain. Winds strong. So it blew my cover off here, but I'm gonna go on and leave it off because I know I'm finna be harvesting these because I don't want them to run and the freeze get them because I love boiled cabbage. That right there is the only bed of leaf lettuce I have left, which is 2 different varieties. And you can see we ain't really been harvesting on them much, and the rain's got them beat down right now. What I need to do is give them a good haircut, especially them over on the tall side. Give them a good haircut, then they'll, according to the weather, what the weather does, will come right back. Now probably what I'm gonna do is give out a haircut today. And when I give it a haircut, guys, I come out here with me scissors and I don't just cut. Now if I'm out here harvesting for a salad, I just cut some leaves off or pinch them off like that. And that's probably, I'm gonna harvest another salad this morning. And then what I do, I just take scissors and I just cut it. Just like hedging a bush. And then they'll come back. But anyway, I'll feed that to the rabbits. And I'll probably, since I got my frost cover out over here, I'm gonna go on and harvest the cabbage. I'll go and put that frost cover over my leaf lettuce here and see if I can keep it going a little longer. The red Russian kale, you see, it's awesome, beautiful. Now guys, I got some the other day. We've been eating a little bit on this off and on. But they got like bug sting spots all over the leaves because I hadn't been spraying, and like I said, our temperature done got up there in the 80s several days. So I come out here and I clean this up. And when I say cleaned it up, I cut it. I didn't top it like I'm talking about cutting the hedging the lettuce over there, but I cut all the limbs off of it, all the leaves off of it, stems. It was pretty much a tall stem with just a couple little leaves on the top. And then it started coming back, and then I give it another little spray for insect spray. And this ain't been but like less than 2 weeks ago, and you see how beautiful it is. I mean, that's some beautiful, ain't no spots on it, no bug spots or nothing. Some beautiful red Russian kale. Now guys, here's a good example of don't give up on something. This is Brussels sprouts. October the 19th, that hard freeze, because I didn't cover these because they supposed to take a light freeze. Well, 28 degrees here in northeast Louisiana with the humidity and stuff, I guess was a hard freeze. And I'm talking about, it pretty much killed them. I said, them things ain't no way they're gonna come back. Well, then again, November the same thing. So I come out here about 3 weeks ago and I literally, guys, it wasn't nothing left up here but like looking at this little top right there. I cut all the leaves off of it. Now this one here still has an old, that big leaf, that's an old leaf that didn't get cut off. But you can see, they making Brussels sprouts. But it's been so hot as they making them, they're opening up. They're too loose. I mean, a Brussels sprout ought to be about that big around and good and tight, like a good head of cabbage. And that's like a mini head of cabbage, so to speak. But as you can see, they making Brussels sprouts. But our weather, it's just been so hot. But again, that's a good example. Don't give up on something. Trim all them dead leaves off. Let it keep going and as long as it's gonna go. Now, am I gonna end up getting a taste anything off here? I don't know. If I don't cover them for the next few nights, I ain't just gonna kill what few leaves is on here. So guys, I still don't expect to get anything out of these. But every spring and every fall, since I got so many beds and stuff, I will plant them. One day I'm gonna get lucky and weather's gonna be just right and everything's gonna work out and I'm gonna get some Brussels sprouts. Because it's not normal, it's not a normal thing to grow Brussels sprouts right here in northeast Louisiana. That's just something you don't see nobody doing, but I just like trying. There's you a shot of the prism kale. Beautiful kale. Guys, kale is good for you. Chop you up some of that, mix in your salads, steam it down, season it up, eat it. There's your little shot of all the beds that's got clover and winter peas just planted in it as a cover crop. Out through there. And this little bed right here, guys, is it's a new variety of collards I bought. I think it was called Top Chop. And yes, it was real late when I planted them. But you know, they're pretty cold weather tolerant. But I ain't gonna waste time covering them. Either they make something or they won't. But you could cut them little bitty leaves right now, but they ain't big enough. But what I'm saying, you can eat the little leaves off collards. You ain't gotta wait till they get real big. Guys, in this little bed right here is my celery. Ain't that some beautiful celery? I actually cut a whole lot of stalks off of it, dehydrated them and ground it up in the celery powder. Now my wife, she occasionally eat a stick of just the celery. You know, I cut it. Like the other day I made some homemade rabbit soup. Basically the same thing as chicken noodle soup. Whatever your best chicken noodle soup recipe is, use that recipe. And then debone you some rabbit meat. Now tame rabbit, not wild rabbit. You debone you some tame rabbit and put in there, the average person won't never know it ain't chicken meat. But I like using celery to put in soups and stuff like that. And that's some beautiful celery. And this is beautiful, but what's in my greenhouse, that pot in my greenhouse, is really beautiful. Now guys, this bed right here, it's covered up good. That's where I put my onion sets. Cause when they come in, that was the week of November during the freeze, and I had to put them in the greenhouse, just stick them in some dirt for a few days. And they've been struggling getting started. So I don't know, I was hoping they'd get a better root system started before we got the next cold weather like we're about to get. But I'm probably gonna cover that up. You see, I got frost cover, and then I got a piece of plastic I can stretch over it. Make a little greenhouse effect. I'm probably gonna do that for this next week through them cold nights to try to let them get a good root system. And up under there, my strawberry plants, which are just like these. And I'll take y'all over here and show y'all the strawberries that's not covered, because them under them covers is doing just as good as these right here are. Guys, guys, look how beautiful them strawberry plants are. Now, I had a hard time getting my strawberry plants and ain't got near about as many as I want. But the ones that did make it is absolutely beautiful. You can see them of them's got some of the brown spots on it. Now it's finna get cooler weather. They ought to be doing better. But guys, that's my little update on what's going on in my garden. That's pretty much all I got going on. Now my next video, we're gonna go in the greenhouse. You know, some of you following me know that I was doing some little experimenting stuff in there, wanting to see inside my little mini greenhouse. Well, at this point, it's really doing good. So my next video is probably gonna be on showing y'all inside my mini greenhouse. But as always, if you like these little videos, best way you can help me out is give me a thumbs up. That's that little thumb right down there under the screen. If you just take a minute to click that thumbs up, and if you got any friends you would like to share this with on your social media, that's the best way you can help me out on growing this YouTube channel, is by giving me a thumbs up, making a little comment, no matter if it's just giving me a little hello or a wave. But as always, I hope you enjoy these videos. Hope you have a great day and a blessed week. God bless. See y'all next time.